responsible, the founder and commissioner of the WFL, Mr. Gary Davidson.
Gary Davidson was a lawyer, businessman, and co-founder of the World Hockey Association as well as the American Basketball Association, two professional leagues that were successful enough to merge with their larger competitors, the NHL and the NBA. In 1973, Davidson looked to continue his success with the brand new Professional Football League.
The NFL, since merging with the old AFL, hasn't had any competition to worry about except for a few players who straggle to the Canadian League. But even some of them eventually come back home. This year, though, there's a serious challenge for talent coming from the World Football League. There's one thing the NFL had thought had ended some years ago when they merged with the old AFL, but now with the WFL, here we go again.
The World Football League, also known as WIFL, consisted of a 20-game season between 13 teams and was to finish with the grand finale championship game, the World Bowl. It would feature some unique quirks, including an experiment with different colored pants for each position in an exhibition match, which didn't catch on.
The idea that the players did not treat with overwhelming warmth.
Because of an NFL player strike, Wiffle investors advanced the inaugural season to 1974 instead of 1975. Davidson saw this as an opportunity to siphon away some of the NFL's biggest stars.
It has to express an interest in this thing, I think. The money's there, and they're showing an interest in us, so it has to be reciprocated.
The league started to gain attention when the Toronto Northmen signed Larry Csonka, Jim Kick, and Paul Warfield, three Miami Dolphins players, for $3.5 million, the most expensive three-player deal in sports at the time. By June 1974, 1 month before kickoff, the league had signed around 60 NFL players, which had fans excited for the new league. But before the season could start, off-the-field dilemmas started popping up. The Toronto Northmen were threatened to find a new home under orders from the Canadian government, who were attempting to pass a bill that banned any league that competed with the already established Canadian Football League.
It's a very cold, brutal, wintry afternoon here. The temperature is 3 above, which gives us a wind chill of 35 below zero.
The Northmen relocated to Memphis, where they were renamed the Southmen.
Tonight, live and in color, TBS presents the new game in town, the World Football League.
Week 1 showed a positive turnout for the Wiffle, averaging 43,000 fans a game. But this turnout was heavily inflated, as teams had given away many of their tickets for free. The Philadelphia Bell admitted that roughly out of the 120,000 fans for their first 2 games, about 100,000 of them were given away for free. The league's unorthodox schedule was also causing issues. Games were mostly scheduled on Wednesdays and Thursdays, with exceptions for one team.
Well, tonight in the World Football League, the Jacksonville Sharks will try to break a 3-game losing streak as they face Hawaii.
The Hawaii Hawaiians would play on Sundays, requiring other teams to play after a short 4-day turnaround and a flight from Hawaii to the continental United States. The rush to play in 1974 instead of 75 left teams unprepared financially for the season, resulting in many teams relocating within the first few weeks. These struggles put a burden on team operations, resulting in multiple teams having no uniforms after they couldn't afford their cleaning bills. In other instances, players simply weren't getting paid. The Portland Storm players were reportedly being fed by local fans, while the Florida Blazers went 3 months without pay and relied on McDonald's vouchers to eat. The WFL experienced issues with player availability as well, since the NFL ended up striking a deal with their players before the '74 season got underway. In one case, defensive end John Matusak was benched 5 minutes into a game after the Houston police served the Texans a restraining order mid-game, banning Matusak to play another down for the Texans until his NFL contract expired. The chaotic season had finally reached its grand finale World Bowl, even though the home Birmingham Americans owed $237,000 in federal taxes to the IRS, who would now be collecting profits from the game's ticket sales.
Hi, I'm Merle Harmon with Alex Hawkins, and welcome to the first World Bowl. Well, all the tension, the excitement, the color of a championship ball game is here.
After holding off a comeback from the Florida Blazers, the Americans would go on to be champions of the World Bowl. Directly after the game, the IRS seized the Americans' jerseys to satisfy team debts. As for the Blazers, it was discovered that the team's owner, Ramit Loud, had been financing the team through selling cocaine and a tax evasion scheme. He was arrested and later convicted while the team was auctioned off.
The governors of the World Football League have determined that this enormous capital expenditure, in light of an unstable economy in our nation, continuing inflation, no assurance of national television revenues, and a softening market for new leagues and professional sports, was an unwise investment.
By the time the 1975 season rolled around, there were only 11 teams in the league, only 2 of which had the same ownership as the year before. Halfway through the season, the league folded, leaving the Birmingham Americans as the first and only World Bowl champions.
Back behind us, the World Bowl trophy from the old World Football League.
Yes, Greg, that's a prize that we have, and I'm really not sure how we came about it.
In 1982, David Dixon announced the formation of the USFL, the United States Football League. Dixon, who was instrumental in the creation of the New Orleans Saints, had been planning this league since 1965. He studied the success of the American Football League and the disaster of the World Football League. He created the Dixon Plan, which he believed was a recipe for a successful new pro football league. Some of the pillars of the Dixon Plan were teams that would play in large NFL caliber stadiums, a summer schedule to avoid competing with the NFL, a one-year promotional budget for pre-inaugural seasons to introduce the team to their local markets, a salary cap, which the NFL did not have at the time, and a territorial draft to stock teams with collegiate players familiar to local fans. The inaugural season went smoothly for the USFL. While Dixon had some trouble holding teams to their salary caps, the on-the-field product was regarded as relatively good for a new league. One of the main attractions for the league was halfback Herschel Walker, who was coming off his Heisman-winning season at Georgia University. The following off-season would include a few ownership changes, the most notable of which being the New Jersey Generals sale to a high-profile New York real estate magnate.
Everything that we touched in this city has in fact really worked out, and outside of the city has really worked out.
Trump, along with the Chicago Blitz owner, Eddie Einhorn, had a different vision for the league that veered from the Dixon Plan. They were looking to move play from the summer to the fall to go head-on with the NFL. The idea being the NFL would be forced to eventually merge with the USFL, similarly to how they merged with the AFL in 1966. The owners hoped that the franchises that survived the merger would likely double ownership's original investment. After the 1984 season, the league's owners voted 13-2 in favor of moving the season to the fall to compete with the NFL, starting in 1986.
We're certainly looking to compete with the NFL, and the answer is we are in a form of war right now with the NFL. There's no question about it.
Well, the struggling United States Football League is resorting to what some are calling the long bomb in court, an antitrust suit against the National Football League.
The USFL suing the NFL for a total of $1.32 billion. It accuses the older established league of 2 things. First, conspiracy to put the USFL out of business. Secondly, unfair monopoly of network television, stadia to play the games in, player contracts, and even media relations.
The USFL proposed 2 options as a solution to their alleged monopoly. Either the NFL can only have contracts with 2 of the 3 major networks, or they split into 2 different 14-team leagues. After a 42-day trial, the jury found that the NFL indeed was a monopoly. However, they rejected the claim that the NFL was trying to destroy the USFL. They found that the USFL had indeed changed their strategy to attempt to merge with the NFL, ruling that the majority of the USFL's issues were of their own doing. The court awarded the USFL just $1, which was tripled because of antitrust laws to $3.
I was hoping that everybody would understand that I did the best I could and that this dollar amount was not what I wanted, but it was the only way that we could come to a compromise.
4 days after the verdict, USFL owners voted to suspend operations since the trial had financially drained the league. In 1990, the USFL collected their check from the trial, which was now at $3.76 due to interest. The check was never cashed.
It's AFC East champion Miami versus the AFC West champion Oakland Raiders.
During a 2001 NFL playoff game between the Miami Dolphins and the Oakland Raiders, a blimp flew over the Oakland Stadium. The blimp was advertising the XFL.
This is the XFL!
A new league created by Vince McMahon, the face of the WWF. NBC, who had lost their broadcast right to the AFC to CBS in 1998, was a 50-50 partner in the league. The league was advertised as a combination of football with the entertainment factor of the WWE. That blimp crashed into a sailboat 5 miles north of the stadium. and fell over an oyster restaurant.
It is perhaps the most eagerly anticipated inauguration that the sports world has seen in quite a while.
The league's rules reflected its mission for entertainment, most notably the introduction of the opening scramble, also known as the human coin toss.
You know, in the past, all football games get started with a coin toss. No way, Jose.
Couple of safeties going to scramble for the right to possession. The hometown hero is on it, but the ball's still alive. And the hometown guys have what to kick and receive.
They also allowed nicknames on jerseys. The most famous example being Rod Smart, who went by He Hate Me. He Hate Me.
Well, I'll tell you what, JR, he is so popular. My wife and mother-in-law of 25 years never liked football till they saw He Hate Me.
Although the ratings were high for opening week, they plummeted shortly after. The opening game was considered low-quality football, partially because of the minimal time the teams had to prepare for the season, which was roughly a month. Mid-season, the ratings were so bad that McMahon tried a tongue-in-cheek tour of the cheerleaders' locker room stunt during a halftime show.
I want you to get in there, and I want you to go get me some ratings. Hey! You idiot!
The unraveling of the league continued with the heated interview on HBO's On the Record with Bob Costas.
Shut your mouth and let me answer the question, all right? I'll be happy to answer. You got a situation that you don't know what you're talking about.
By the end of the season, the WWF and NBC each lost a reported $35 million. Shortly after the season, NBC announced it would not be airing a second season of the XFL. McMahon tried to reboot the league in 2018, this time with less gimmicks and more focus on football. The league played its first comeback season in 2020, where it was suspended 5 weeks in due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The following August, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, along with his longtime business partner and ex-wife Dani Garcia, purchased the league for $15 million. They once again rebooted the league in February 2023, this time with an emphasis on the 54th man, in reference to the NFL's 53-man roster limit.
When they told you that the dream was over. But here's the truth, your dream is just beginning.
The goal of this emphasis being to display the XFL as a chance for players to display their skills and earn a chance at an NFL roster.
So I say this to all the players, to all the coaches, and most of all, to all the fans. Let's ball out, baby!